This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, and welcome to video 3 in our series. Where do all sales start? So the question is, where do your sales start? Now, there's two facts about where your sales start. And if I was on the phone with you, I'd be asking you these two questions because it's pretty critical. I've already showed you in the first two videos that you have to start a conversation and you have to help your prospects before you could even ask them to purchase from you, right? You have to build a relationship before you sell, and you have to have trust because that's the heart of all relationships. You're doing the same thing. You're not going to get on the phone with me or sign a contract or do business with us simply because we sound like nice people. You're going to want to get answers to your questions, and you're going to want to make sure that this is a smart buying decision for you. And that's what you should do. Your clients, your prospects, they're no different. So what you have to do is you have to figure out where the sale starts for them. So there's two questions. The first one is this: what percentage of your sales start online in some form of research? Now think about that. I've asked that question to a lot of companies, and it's a common thing that everyone does, regardless of what service they're shopping for, whether it's as simple as researching a doctor or making any sort of economic decision that's worth a few hundred to a few $1,000s. There's some form of research going on. If they're researching, we know they're going to websites searching for answers to their problem. And that's URL level navigation, there's keyword search, there's content consumption specifically around their problem. There's industry expert reviews, client reviews, company analysis. There's all sorts of things that people do and resources that they read. Those are behaviors, and those are the behaviors that lead to a purchase. Now, I promised you in our last video that I was going to tell you the two things that you have to have at the precise moment when the prospect is ready to say yes. When they're ready to purchase, you as the marketer must be there at that moment with two things. The first one I've already shared at length, and you can probably guess: you need to be in a relationship with your prospect. People buy from people they trust. The second one is you need to be top of mind. Now, we've already talked about being first and controlling the perspective on how prospects see their problem and how they see a solution. If you're first and you build a relationship, when you communicate and have conversation with them, you're going to define the value. You're going to set the buying criteria, and every one of your competitors and alternatives are going to compete compared to you. The second thing you need to have at the moment that your prospect is ready to say yes is you need to be top of mind. So I want to do a quick thought experiment with you, and I want you to be honest. In the last 24 hours, you've seen 100 ads. Name one. Now see, it's not as easy as it sounds. When we say top of mind, it's not just about building a relationship. People forget. And I hope that this thought experiment demonstrates to you how quickly you forget, because you're no different than your prospect's memory. People cannot act on what they forget. Prospects act on what they remember. If they don't remember, they can't act. So your sales cycle is over a couple of days or a couple of weeks. They're going to have to remember for a while, and you've seen an ad in the last 24 hours and you can't tell me what it is. Now, I realize this is a webinar and you're not able to respond right at this moment, but I've said this and talked to large groups of people and used this example, and it's very common that it's hard to come up with an ad that you've seen in the last 24 hours, even though we all know we've seen over 100 ads in the last 24 hours. So even if you can tell me one, even if you remember one, tell me what it said. What was the message about? What was the call to action? It's very difficult. So the way we do it, the way we combat this, is we build relationships using a method where you can consistently put a message in front of your prospects who are looking to buy what you sell at the time they are looking to buy. And again, you're not advertising to the haystack. You're only advertising to the needles, to those people who are actively pursuing what you sell. So you're not throwing money away when you run some very inexpensive ads across multiple channels, not just one channel, but multiple channels. Banner ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, a series. And we'll show you 13 different channels, online, offline, being very strategic. So the best use of this to be top of mind, believe it or not, is very inexpensive. Banner ads. You see, when you know who you're targeting and you're only targeting people that are actively pursuing the products and services you sell, all you have to do is two things in your ads. You run those banner ads on a consistent basis. We keep you in front of your prospects on a consistent basis, so you're the first solution they think of. The second thing you need to do is answer this question. What percentage of your sales visit your website before your purchase? Now think about it. As great as an in-market lead, somebody who's in the market looking for what you sell, as great as that is, it's a person who's researching their problem. When they get to your website, they are researching a solution. There's no greater value to you from a lead perspective. There's nothing more valuable to you than somebody who is what we call in funnel, right there on your website. They're on your landing page, they're in your funnel, and they're shopping you. It's the person who's in your store digitally. We offer a piece of software that you can place on your website that will help you understand and know who's on your website. When we offer you our in-market targeting, if any of those in-market people, and we're tracking over 200 million people, if you push those people to the page into your funnel, we know 100% of them by name, and we could identify them to you, and we help you with that. And again, when we get on the phone, I'm going to show you how that piece alone will lower your cost per click at Google and Facebook and anywhere else by between 25 and 75%. Lowering your cost per click means you're going to acquire clients and leads for less. You're going to lower your cost per acquisition. If I can buy a customer for $200 and you have to pay $400, then you can see I've got the competitive advantage. There's nothing you can do because I can take that difference between the 200 and the 400 and I could offer more value. I can lower the price and still get more sales than you. And there's no way you can compete. Now factor in me knowing first when somebody is in market, the ability to own and control and have all the conversations I want and help build trust. While you're out selling your solution before you even know who they are, I'm going to win. I offer more value, lower price, and still profit more than you. Profit is the key to victory, okay? So if you know who's at your website, you can now build an offer. There's always friction. Price equals friction. You can't remove price, right? You can't give it away because you'll go broke. So how do you overcome that friction? Incentives is one way to do that. Now, incentives can cost money. I get that. Maybe you'll throw in a premium product along with it. Maybe you offer something a little bit more, which increases your costs. But if you've already operated at a lower cost and a lower cost per click and a lower acquisition cost, then that incentive doesn't necessarily have to be super costly, but enough that you can offer it to everybody. So you only offer to those people that are already engaged with you. Only people who would get that offer are the people who are knocking on your door, on your website, actively spending time seeking out a solution from you. And that's why it's important that you first know where all your sales start. Because if you know where this research starts, you can start the conversation first and you can stay in front of them, top of mind. You could build the relationship, be top of mind because you have to have those two things when they're ready to say yes. If you don't have those two things, you aren't getting the yes. So the second thing is think about what I originally said in the first video. The greatest probability of profit is an in-market lead with one exception, an in-funnel lead. Somebody who is not only actively pursuing what you sell, but they're actively pursuing it from you. They're engaged. It's like somebody walking up the aisles in your store, your digital store. They're engaged in your website and your landing page. If you can do that, actively see who's at your website, you have a tremendous opportunity. Now you might sit there and say, Caroline, I can put a pixel on my website, I can retarget them. Okay, great, you can do that. Tell me their name, and remember, cookies only last 4 weeks. If you can convert that to a permanent record, then number one, you own and control it, right? Which means you can take it to any platform, any device, online or offline, and you're not on the clock. You're not at the mercy of a powerful supplier telling you what you can say and when you can say it and how often you can go with any platform and start a conversation and what it's going to cost. You can make it any offer as often as you want because that record is permanent. Think about your company. If you had the names of everybody who visited your website in the last 12 months, would you be making the same money you are right now? I bet you'd be making a heck of a lot more. Now, this is important, and this is going to be what we cover in our next and final video in this series. What you're missing is the power of today's technology, which is machine learning. When you know who's on your website and when you know who buys from you because you have attribution capabilities, meaning you know them by name, it's people-based, you have the ability to recognize them digitally. And you know based on behavioral targeting who is actively in market right now for what you sell. This allows you to engage them first in conversation and building trust, which positions you to be the company they buy from. We started this conversation off with a slide in the first video that said success in business has a lot to do with knowing something others do not. In the last 3 videos, I've told you exactly what you should be doing to be more profitable. In our next video, I'm going to show you our technology. And whether you're doing this with me or you're doing this with another company, and there isn't anybody out there really doing what we're doing, you need to be doing this sometime in the near future, like today, if not yesterday, because this technology is what's called a structural change. And what a structural change means is that this change is not something that you could stop or prevent. It's going to happen with you or without you. And in our next video, it's going to be a very simple technology conversation. I'm going to show you the forces, the technological forces, and the economic force that they're having in marketing and in business. Everybody thinks of the word data. Data is nothing more than part of the solution. When you add data to other data, it produces insight. Success in business has a lot to do with knowing insight that your competitors don't. And that's what we help you do. That conversation is going to come full circle in our next video, so stay tuned.